It is 5 o'clock, and I will now call the Richland County Development and Services Committee meeting to order. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Brenham,
Here.
Teratio,
Here.
Barron,
Here.
English,
Present.
Newton.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Please note that Councilwoman Barron and Councilwoman English are attending our meeting virtually as allowed by our rules, and they notified us in the appropriate time frame. That brings us to item 2, the approval of minutes.
Move to approve.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Are there any comments or changes from staff?
No, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Hearing none, it's been moved and properly seconded to approve the minutes. Madam Clerk.
Brenham,
Yes.
Teratio,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes.
English,
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Thank you. That brings us to item number 3, adoption of the agenda. Are there any changes?
No, Madam Chair.
Thank you. I'll entertain a motion.
Move to adopt the agenda.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Madam Clerk, will you call the roll?
Brenham, Teratio,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes.
English,
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Thank you. Item 4, item for action. Item 4A, the Department of Public Works Engineering Dominion Energy easement request at 1403 Jim Hamilton Boulevard. You have the information in your packet on pages 8 to 13. Do we have any questions for staff? I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Madam Clerk, will you call the vote, please?
Brenham,
Yes.
Teratio,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes.
English,
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Item 5, items pending analysis, no action required. We have item 5A. I move that the county council direct the county administrator to research and provide to council, number 1, ways to secure title to subdivision roads that were developed but never had ownership transferred to the county, and 2, to recommend changes to county ordinances and/or protocols to better assure that future development of subdivision roads includes conveyance of the title to the county, unless there is an understanding between the developer and the county that the subdivision roads will intentionally remain privately owned and maintained. That is from Councilman Branham, Councilwoman English, and Councilwoman Newton. We have some information in our packet about a proposed timeline, but before we get to that, I'll see if any of the makers of the motion or any other council members have anything that they'd like to say about this item. You don't have to.
Yeah, I'll wait. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Weaver, you're recognized, and thank you for joining our meeting today, as well as Councilwoman Teratio.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd just like to say, I'm in the business of development, and this study, or whatever we're calling it, is needed because developers do a poor job of turning over roads once the subdivision is finished. I mean, I can give numerous examples in the county right now. We had to chase a developer of Plantation Point off of Bookman Road in Northeast Columbia. We had to hire an attorney. The residents of the neighborhood had to hire an attorney to track the developer down 10 years after he finished the subdivision. So it is definitely necessary. What I would suggest, I'm sure staff will come back with recommendations, we should get developers to have to post a bond that when that subdivision is finished, within so many months, years, whatever, that those roads have to be turned over or they forfeit the bond. Because right now, I don't even know what the procedure is, and like I say, I'm in the business. So there needs to be some guidelines. They need to put some dollars into it, and we need to hold their feet to the fire. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Weaver. And staff, thank you for providing a proposed timeline, but is there anyone here who would just like to briefly address this item? You're recognized, ACA Jensen.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Very briefly, I have contacted the county attorney's office and requested a staff member to join us and I'm putting together a team, so we are already moving forward on this. Having looked at this and having done this in other jurisdictions, I already have some ideas and thoughts on what can be done. We did already improve our bonding process last year. County Engineer Fuller, who's here, I'm not going to ask her to come down and speak to it, but she did a great job going through finding our old bonds, finding ones that hadn't been updated, getting those updated and renewed. So we've started on this process, and we appreciate council bringing this forward. This will help us accelerate the process.
Thank you. And so then looking at the timeline that you will see in your agenda packet on page 15, it looks like the first draft recommendations will come before the body in January of 25.
That is our hope, yes.
Perfect. Thank you. Councilwoman Teresa?
Thank you. And just making sure I see maybe the first iteration of a draft might be brought to us in around January. If there's any updates that can happen along the way, would love to hear how that's progressing in the meantime.
Madam Chair?
You're recognized.
Thank you. Yes, we will provide an update at every committee meeting.
Here.
Thank you. First, I'll recognize Councilwoman Barron and then Councilman Branham.
Thank you. I just want to reiterate the points that were already stated. I think it's critically important that as we move forward in obtaining information to as far as who owns the roads and how the county can get possession of it, the quicker we can do that, the better. I live in a subdivision that is a part of one of this catastrophe that we're addressing, and our roads are poorly maintained, and there's nothing that can be done as the field as the owner of these roads. So I would just encourage, this is one of many tasks that you all have, but not just because it's my subdivision. There are at least 6 that I counted earlier last week that are in my district that I know of that are experiencing the same challenge. And we're talking about, really an instance where if the longer we wait, then to put us in place, then
Councilwoman English, you are breaking up, but we did get the gist of your comments.
that was barren.
I'm sorry, what did I say?
English.
Well, I felt that in my heart. Councilwoman Barron, you were breaking up. Councilwoman English, you were crystal clear. So we did get the gist of what you were saying about the importance of seeing to this in a timely manner. And so what I will do is recognize Councilman Branham and then Councilwoman Barron. If you have anything else that you'd like to add afterwards, I'd be happy to recognize you again. So Councilman Branham, you're recognized.
Thank you, and I want to say that I'm glad that we have those 2 council members virtually. They flanked me in person here at the dais, and I miss having them here with me. I've had some communications, here with my peers and administration about the origins of the motion, but just to say a little bit more publicly, my other job is that of a real estate attorney. And so I was happy to chat with some of the staff who deal regularly in this arena about this issue. And the motion is certainly intentionally broken down in a 2-part way so that, we can recognize and distinguish to the extent that we need to the fact that there are some roads that have already been developed, past tense, that have not been deeded to the county, and yet there are residents of those streets and roads who have a perception that the county is positioned and does have an obligation to maintain those roads, and legally that's not quite where those roads are, and we may want them to be, so that we can provide the maintenance that those residents are looking for. And then again, part two of the motion is meant to be more forward-looking to help us prevent these scenarios happening in the future where the title is never conveyed into the county and making it very hard for us to have that right to go in and maintain those roads. We have certainly knocked around some ideas already, had the opportunity to speak with our county attorney, and certainly today's not the day to any details, but I'm happy to hear that ACA Jensen also has some experience and insights to bring to the table, and look forward to doing what we can to help clean up, the record of what's there, again, on the record of things that have already happened, but also to help prevent these scenarios from happening again in the future.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, is there anyone online who'd like to comment on this item? Gotcha. And so also, in addition to what Councilman Branham said, just for the record, for any citizens who may be listening, not only can the county not maintain roads that don't belong to us because they're private roads, for those roads to be turned over to the county, the roads have to be at county standard. And so sometimes what's also happening in these communities is they're keeping the roads for so long, they're doing low to no maintenance for so long that then when they actually want to convey the roads to the county, it takes time and there's an issue because they can't just turn over poorly maintained roads to the county. So there really is benefit for everyone, not just the residents, but also for the body that's maintaining the roads. If there are no other comments on this item, it was for information only. That brings us to joyous item 6.
Move to adjourn.
Okay.
Been moved and properly seconded. Madam Clerk?
Branham,
Yes.
Teratio,
Yes?
Barron,
Yes.
English,
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Thank you. This meeting is adjourned.